What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are live tonight, Wednesday. We have a couple guests coming on with us tonight. Unfortunately, Derek and Nick couldn't be here tonight. So, like I said, we called our buddies up from Clan Mandalorian. John is here already. Brandon's on his way. So, welcome those two guys here in the chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys coming out. John, how are you?
Good, man. It's a great day. Woke up today, so happy to
Nice.
be here. And talking Star Wars with the boys is incredible.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being here. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. I didn't know waking up today was an accomplishment, but I did that too. So we're doing great.
We are everybody here that's in the chat. Everybody's here, so we all made it.
We woke up today. Yeah, we made
it. Exactly. So let's say hello to a few people that are in here already, and then before Brandon gets here, I want to sort of talk about just how many times everybody's seen the movie so far. So, but Steve, welcome. Thready, I guess that's Thready 3366. Appreciate it. My boy Cody's in here. Steve, Jedi Jarvo, Darth Plagueis, thank you guys for jumping in. Guest strips, what's going on? Papa Boz, April, Holly, and we got everybody in here tonight. Thank you so much. Brandon's almost, he's like, oh my God, I'm almost home. Evie, 730 Evie, welcome everyone. So appreciate you guys coming on. We know you guys could be on different Star Wars chats. You could be doing whatever tonight, but you guys are here talking with us, chatting with us about Star Wars. So what we're going to do once Brandon does get here, we've got some questions about all the new stuff that's going on and what's been happening, but we're going to do a little bit of a round table here tonight and get everybody's answer to some of these questions. So please feel free to put your chat in here. If we have some time, we're going to get to our segments, the mic drop and the Q&A a little bit later, but we have our own questions we're going to try to talk about a little bit right now. So Limitless Nerd, thank you for joining us. And Brandon Baker, it's always a pleasure having Brandon here,
The GOAT.
That's right. So I want to talk about, like I said before Brandon gets in here, how many times you guys have seen the movie and what was different about the second, third, fourth time that you saw it. So John, I'm gonna put you on the spot first.
So I'm going on 3 times.
Nice.
And I think the big thing where something really resonated with me with what you said, actually, where it's like I was going in with the first time watching it, like with these critiques of, no, well, not critiques, but like I was expecting so many theories. Like there had been so much buildup of what we were doing. And then when different things didn't pan out how I had envisioned it, I was like, great movie, but like not how I thought it was gonna go. And then going back the second and third time, it was like, oh, okay, I'm watching a good Star Wars story. It's like I'm not coming in here thinking like, oh, what's going on with the Imperial Remnant, blah 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 blah. So very, like just enjoying it for what it was, and I'm still happy with it, man.
Absolutely. That's awesome. You guys put your I know Steve already did that. So yeah, put how many times you've seen it in the chat here. Let us know. And maybe a little bit what you thought the second, third, fourth time. So Jacob, what's going on? Welcome. So Mike, what about you? What did you get a chance to see it again yet?
I'm up to 3. I want to make it 4 maybe this weekend, but I'm up to 3 in the exact same way. Like Star Wars fans, we find ourselves doing this with every single project that comes out nowadays, but we get our expectations not too high. Like the movie didn't underwhelm me by any means, but we expect people that don't appear, and we always expect like the greatest thing that could possibly happen. Like for example, Luke Skywalker showing up at the end of the Mandalorian season 2. Nobody was really guessing that Luke would show up because it was so crazy. It's almost like the Big Bang. As soon as that happened, the rest is history, because now Star Wars fans are all like, the biggest thing can happen because Luke Skywalker showed up at the end of Mando season 2. So from now on, everything is like, Luke couldn't do that. And then post 2020, it's okay, they can do anything. So now fans are like, oh my God, this guy's going to show up. Palpatine's going to return again. This guy's going to have, like, it's just over and over again. So yeah, I thought Thrawn was going to show up. Am I crazy? Probably, but it didn't happen. So again, the second time I watched it, the third time I watched it, it got better and better. Not that it was bad the first time, but I was going in with expectations the first time of seeing specific people, didn't see them. And then the second time, like, okay, this is just a great movie. And that's it. Like, great movie, fantastic. A New Hope didn't need any cameos. None of the original trilogies did. None of the prequel trilogy did. And it's a great Star Wars movie. So I'm up to 3, trying to make it 4. But yeah, that's where I'm at for now.
Nice. And yeah, that's it. I think, again, like John, you were saying that I was saying, but as content creators now, and we're just going over it and dissecting it and making predictions and different things like that. We're going in, like you just said, Mike, we're waiting for Thrawn. We're waiting for different people to show up. We're waiting for this theory to come true, or, you know, this ship to come on you know, screen, and different things like that. So yeah, for me, the first time was almost underwhelming, because I was like, man, what's going on? What's going to do? What's happening? Who we getting? And I was just focusing on that. And like me and Mike talked about, the second time we went to see it, I was just like, my mind was blown. I was just like, this is such a freaking awesome movie. I loved it. You know, and I for me, and I know that's not everybody's opinion, and I know some people are gonna, you know, get upset and probably get some haters, but it's one of my top 5. I've seen it 5 times. I'm going again tomorrow. You know, it won't be an IMAX this time, unfortunately, but I thought it was fantastic. It was fun. It was entertaining. We had some Grogu growth, you know, some more, you know, information for him. He's jumping in the little the little space carriage and taking off with Din. He's helping Din survive. You know, so all of these things I thought were fantastic. The Anzellans, you know, the puppets, the stop animation, everything that they were doing in that brought me back to a New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, you know, things like that, where we got to see fun little things that we have never seen before. And like you said, Mike, there's no cameos in A New Hope. We didn't need them. And yeah, it would have been great to get a little bit more lore, but I think we're going to get that lore. We're getting it in, we're getting it in Maul. We're getting it in Ahsoka season 2. I'm sure we'll get some more books, and we'll get some, hopefully, a Tales series. So I think everything that's going on with Star Wars right now is fantastic. But this movie, for me, is a top 5 movie for me, you know, and I really enjoyed it.
I love that. It's not in my top 5 personally. It's in my top 7, I think. 6, maybe, I forget. I did the ranking a while ago. Either way, it's definitely up there, though. It's not my least favorite Star Wars movie. It's not anywhere close to the bottom of that list. But having said that, the biggest thing, and you brought it up, was like people saying it doesn't really affect the rest of Star Wars, and that's a big sort of step down for it, because all the other Star Wars Skywalker saga films have a lasting impact on the rest of the galaxy. And I just wholeheartedly disagree with that argument when you look at the idea that the Hutts that have ruled the criminal underworld for 25,000 years in Star Wars are now gone. And that's a big deal. When you look at the sequel trilogy, when there's no Hutts, now you go, okay, well, now we know why. And when you look at the fact that we didn't get any of the criminal underworld in the sequel trilogy, well, now you have the opportunity to go tell the story there with Thrawn, with Boba Fett, with all that stuff in the underworld that George Lucas intended to be his sequel trilogy. And now with the Hutts gone, there's a massive power vacuum in the galaxy. And do you know what did that? The Mandalorian and Grogu movie did that. So there's a lot of further development of the story of Star Wars and the lore itself. It may not be the lore of the Force, because there's not a single lightsaber in this movie, and Grogu wields the Force, but he doesn't speak. But there's still lore nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the part about it that I think is really cool, that we're in almost 50 years now, and we're still able to go and watch this and enjoy it, and no matter what age, you know.
Yeah.
John, obviously, I know you're younger than me. I don't know what your age is compared to Mike, but you guys obviously are all younger than me. But we're all able to sit here and talk about this, enjoy it, and everything that we see in Star Wars, whether it's the books, it's the animation, it's the live action, or it's the movies. and even this movie has got me more psyched about Starfighter, even though we got some more information last week, maybe some of the plot. But this movie got me psyched, and even watching some of these interviews now with John and Dave, it's just like we're on such a cool trajectory for Star Wars. The next few years, it's going to be fantastic, and I think that some of these people that are bitching about it or complaining about it, they're going to lose out on some of the fun things that we can do here. This is entertainment. And it's not anything but that. And we're just there to have a good time and get some lore,
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing was with the IMAX screens, you said you're not going to be able to see it on IMAX because it got pulled from most IMAX screens. It got pulled for Master of the Universe. And I haven't seen Master of the Universe, so I can't say one way or another if that movie is good or not. However, everybody loves to look at the numbers. It made less than a third of what The Mandalorian made its opening weekend, like a lot less. So I don't know if that was the right call there, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're not the ones that make that call, and I'm actually getting ready to do a short and put it out tomorrow because I've just been getting bashed for my, $2 billion, but again, you know what? I was wrong. Okay. I still enjoy the movie.
Wait. You're not wrong yet. It's still in theaters, Ron. You never know. It's about to cross 300 million. Yeah, we could get there. A resurgence.
Are we talking total gross? Like, DVDs and,
Yeah.
Oh, I think eventually it will. Yeah, merchandise and all that stuff. I mean, it's definitely going to go over $2 billion. But the theory was, when we were all talking about it, what's it going to make in the theater? And me and Derek had said $2 billion. But and again, okay, I'm wrong, but what a great movie it was. And I think everybody that doesn't get to see it in the theater, doesn't get to see it in IMAX, is missing out. You can watch it on Disney Plus. I know we all will, and it's going to be awesome. But they're missing out if they're not seeing it in the theater.
I've talked to plenty of people who have told me they're like, I'll watch it when it goes on Disney Plus, and I'm like, okay, sure, do what you want, but like you're missing out. Even because I'm so young, I feel like I missed out on watching the prequels and the originals in the movie theaters. So when these re-releases come out, the 20th anniversary, the 40th anniversary, whatever, they're awesome. And I love going to see them in the movie theaters because that's where Star Wars was supposed to be. So there's a lot of people I know of that are waiting for it to come to Disney Plus, and that's fine. It's still going to get views on Disney Plus, but like there's nothing better. And it's not just Star Wars, but Star Wars in particular. There's nothing better than going to the movies and watching it, especially in IMAX, which was something special.
Yeah, for sure. What you got to say, John? I'm just sitting over there listening.
No, I love it, man. I'm taking it in. Like, it's one of those things where I completely agree wholeheartedly. I've seen, like, I go on, like, on social media, you see discourse every day. And it's just like, why am I spending the time looking at this? Like, if they don't like it, man, that's cool, move on. But it's like, it doesn't affect my day to day. And it's like, I thought it was great. And it's like, I don't put many Star Wars movies on the background just to like have it on. This is one that's going to be on. It's like I can flip it on just to have it there. Like I can enjoy it. Like I'll folding laundry, I'm gonna like stop, do my thing, and then come back to it. When I have kids at one point, like that'll be what it's like something that I can put on and just like it's not like episode 4, one of the sequels that's like it's like no, this is just a fun story. Like let's go have a good time. You're gonna learn about Mando and Grogu. Like we're gonna continue the plot and like here we are. So
yeah, and to that point too, like you're going to hang out with Mando and Grogu. People are calling it a couple episodes of The Mandalorian strung together into a movie. That's what it is. Like that.
That's
what
good.
do we expect? What do we expect was going to happen? The Mandalorian's one of the best shows we got. The fact that it's now on the big screen in a movie format is exactly what we wanted and exactly what we were hoping for. So I don't really know how that's being used as a critique, but I did see something funny, and you were talking about online, all the discourse and everything. I saw somebody in a comment section being like, oh, Disney's ruined Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. Also hate the prequel trilogy, whatever. Hated the Ewoks, blah, blah, blah. So somebody responded before I did. I usually just ignore it, but somebody else responded and said, so do you even like Star Wars? Like of the, I don't know, 50 plus projects, you like 2 of them? Do you actually even like Star Wars, or are you just a fan of one movie? Is that it? Just the one movie? It is kind of funny when you look at it like that, because Star Wars is so vast and there's so much for so many people. You want a bounty hunting story about a baby version of Yoda. There's one right now in theaters. But if you want a ground level rebel show, it's Andor. If you want a lore centered Force show, it's either Clone Wars or The Acolyte or Ahsoka or whatever. There's a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and that's why Star Wars has lasted for 50 years, because there will never, ever, for the rest of our lives, be a Star Wars project that comes out without discourse. But that's because the Star Wars fandom is so large and people just have different preferences. I don't know why it's so hard for some people to just realize that we don't agree on everything. Not just Star Wars. I'll tell you that much. Not just Star Wars. Like, I always go ice cream flavors, but any kind of food, anything, literally anything, you have different preferences from everybody else on the planet. So your Star Wars preferences are going to be different too. So,
think about if Instagram was around or social media was around when New Hope came out. Would that not have gotten flamed?
Yep.
So there's a whole lot of it's just the day, the age we live in, and we.
It's a weird time.
The hater's job is to hate, dude. So we just let him hate.
Yeah. Well,
it's a very weird time.
What'd you say, Mike?
I was just saying it's a very, very weird time. When people can make all that kind of money off of just hating on something, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I know the three of us and probably everybody in this chat agree that this is a great time to be a Star Wars fan. If you're a true Star Wars fan, this is a great time to be. The last few years, as much as people shit on Disney, we have gotten some great content from Disney for Star Wars. And I don't know if you've seen this yet, John. I played this last week, and this is from when I saw A New Hope, but the way that this person explains it. So it was an old Siskel and Ebert were these old movie guys that did the 2 thumbs up for movies and stuff. And I know everybody in the chat has also seen this from last week, but it's 24 seconds. It explains exactly what Star Wars was back then. And then and it tells us what it is. So check this out.
And what's the meaning of it all? Who knows and who cares? Star Wars became the new box office champion by providing pure 100% escapist entertainment. It's one of those rare movies that seems to play to every sort of audience, Gene, and bring out the kid in all of us. Maybe that's why people can see it a dozen times or 24 times, because it doesn't matter that you know the story. You still have the sound and light, the effects, the explosions, the dogfight in outer space. It's just a never-ending visual delight.
I mean, that's exactly what Star Wars is.
Yeah, and it's almost as if they were describing the Mandalorian and Grogu movie too. It's what Star Wars has been and will always be, is just for all ages, but also rewatchable. Even if you know the outcome, you can still go watch it over and over and over again because it's action packed. It's a fun adventure. It really is like people grasping for straws at things that don't exist. That was the same back in 1977. And it's the same 50 years later.
Yeah. So fashionably late, I would like to bring in our boy, Brandon. What's up?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Sorry I'm late. Brother had a basketball game. They did win. I told him, hey, if I'm going to be late, you got to win the damn game. So We're here. Great to see everybody. What's going on?
Well, welcome. We give you the Grogu salute. And again, I gave a little bit of props, but these two gentlemen below Mike and I, Clan Mandalorian, Sundays, 11 a.m. They have an awesome podcast. So if you haven't already, go check them out. I appreciate you guys, because I had a couple people reach out to me today and was like, hey, I'm joining because of Clan Mandalorian. So thank you guys for helping us, beef up a little bit. We're all in here to have a good time and be positive about Star Wars. And that's the cool thing about this. And that's what I love about everybody that's here on this channel. And the four of us are able to, talk Star Wars and still be in a positive way. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So since you have made it, we're gonna move on to our question. We're gonna do a little roundtable. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of the new stuff, everything that all of us have been talking about the past few weeks. But I drew up some questions, and I want the audience and you guys in the chat to please join in and let us know your thoughts and stuff like that. But what I want to start out with is the future of Grogu. As we know, he's one of the main characters in this movie, but has Lucasfilm quietly positioned Grogu as the central character in the next generation of Star Wars? And Mike, I want you to go first.
Yeah, I like this. So I'm actually going to say no. I think he will be in a lot of projects moving forward, but I don't think he's going to be the main focus of many of those projects at all. And I know this movie kind of taught us that he can be on his own, but he hasn't even said his first word yet. It'll be very interesting to see if he's involved with post-sequel stuff with the Rey movie, with the Starfighter movie and all that, because he's going to be alive. We know that much, unless something crazy happens. But he'll live for the next 800 years. I don't see them using him as a main character, or the main character, I should say. But I can see them using him like sort of how they're using Luke right now in the Mandoverse, or how they're using Vader in the time between the prequels and the originals. Sort of as a character who just appears in a lot of things, and it's awesome when he shows up and everybody goes, "Oh my God!" But he's not the main guy.
Yeah. No, that's true. John?
So I think like we, at least on our channel, we've been talking a lot about him kind of being like one of the focal points, and I think it's going to be, Mike brings up a great point, but I think he'll be instrumental in this next, series, where it's like if they're going to do the whole Rey building the new Jedi Order type of thing. I think Grogu is going to be a part of that, whether it be, his past experiences with, the actual Jedi Order, his visions, experiences, his, plethora of force abilities that he's able to use to potentially teach the younglings. So I think it's a great point of like, he's not old enough to be the lead character for this coming, era. But he could be the sidekick. He could be that Yoda who's hopping on Luke's back, and he's, helping guide, whether it be Rey or some of these new people through the path on his own sideshow.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon?
Yeah, dude, I think Grogu's awesome. But yeah, going forward, I think it's kind of like Yoda. If you kind of look back at the High Republic, where he's there, of course, he's old enough to be there through all of these stories. But I think that's Grogu going forward. I think he's going to be kind of the opposite of Yoda in trajectory. So yeah, doesn't have to be a main character, which, I mean, if he was the main character, awesome. But he doesn't have to be. And I think that's because he's so awesome. I do think, going forward, I think he could potentially be, the big theory that he's going to be the next Tar Vizsla, which I think that would be great. Sabine Wren is kind of the one that teeters, but I don't think she's going to live up to the level of like a Tar Vizsla, and she doesn't have to be. That's great. I think Sabine's character is perfect how she is, but yeah, Grogu's always going to be there, and kind of like Mike said too, just like with how Luke's there or with how Vader's there, that's how Grogu will be, and that's what keeps everything connected. We look at Zeb in the Mandalorian and Grogu. This is what's going to tie into Ahsoka. That's kind of what Grogu is going to be going way down the line. So yeah, we can stretch projects in the future up to 900 years, and Grogu can always be there. So yeah,
I do like the idea that he's like sort of the next Tar Vizsla. And you brought up Sabine too. I see Sabine going just full Jedi. Like, I know she is a Mandalorian, but she's going with Ahsoka and going way down that path. And Grogu did the opposite. Grogu chose to stay with the Mandalorian instead of go with Luke. So I see, he's going to be the Tar Vizsla, and Sabine's just sort of going to become a Jedi. Having said that, though, you do bring up a great point that he has chosen the Mandalorians. So we don't see the Mandalorians in the sequels, and we don't know what they're doing, and we don't know, have they like rebuilt Mandalore or what the deal is there. But will Grogu be involved with like Rey's stuff, like John was saying, or will he be like rebuilding the Mandalorian people? And how do the Mandalorian people fit into Starfighter or fit into the galaxy beyond the First Order and beyond the New Republic? Like, are they an instrumental part in that? Like, there's so many questions when it comes to the Mandalorians because they're so powerful and Grogu.
Yeah. Well, and that's a perfect segue into the next one. So it's like, what is Grogu's ultimate role? Jedi, Mandalorian, ruler, or something Star Wars has never done before? You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, you just sort of go ahead, finish.
Well, the
up
idea.
Answer that.
Yeah. I guess I'll keep it really quick. The idea is sort of like the Jedi and Mandalorians have been at odds for generations, like thousands and thousands of years. The future beyond the sequels might be the opposite if Grogu is that connecting piece of Rey's new Jedi Order and the Mandalorian people. And that could be his role.
Yeah. Brandon?
Oh, man. Yeah. Kind of looking at it, I don't think anyone wants to be like the Jedi from like what before. Because, I mean, a massacre happened. It was kind of, very, the term dogmatic comes around a lot, and you see shades of that throughout the Clone Wars, that's something I really appreciate from the Clone Wars series, is the calling out of the Jedi, seeing the different ways that they are just kind of corrupt in a lot of ways. So, and then ultimately, to the fall. So I think going forward, I think if Grogu doesn't follow what Rey does, I do think it would be cool for him to kind of do something different. I mean, maybe you don't have to be a Jedi. Maybe you can still wield a light. I mean, there's characters who have lightsabers and they're not Jedi nor Sith, like perhaps Mia Goth's character, Chimera can kind of teeter that now. Balin, Shin, just seeking something different. So maybe Grogu, he had the option to join the Jedi again. So was it just the ultimate bond between him and Din Djarin that kept him away from that? I mean, who knows? But I mean, probably. But there could be more to it. So I don't know. I would hope that it's something different. I hope it's not Jedi. He's gonna have Mandalorian ways. I mean, he's training right now as a Mandalorian. We see that in their movie that just came out. So I mean, hey, why not something different?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to probably happen, and it will be something different that we haven't seen, and it could be the mixture of the Mandalorian and the Jedi. But I think he will be a significant part, sort of like Yoda was, but he'll also be sort of, for lack of better words, in the background. He'll come out and we'll see him do some Force things. We'll see him do some Mandalorian things. And I think that's what this they're going to bring in this new character, because then we can bring everybody. We can bring the Jedi, not that there's many of them left, but we can bring that, that sorcerer stuff into this with Sabine and Ahsoka and few of the other ones that are still alive. But also, I think they're moving into that more of that Mandalorian style of, setting up this universe that is going to have to go after Thrawn. And I think if you have the Mandalorians that have all come together now, that's going to be a strong, fist to fight with all of them. So you guys in the chat, let us know. What do you guys think the ultimate role of Grogu is going to be? Jedi, Mandalorian, ruler, or something different? John?
And John, before you go, who is that? Chimera's lightsaber behind you?
Yes, sir.
That is so sick.
I'm gonna get that signed at Rebel ScumCon in like a few months.
That's so awesome.
Nice.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I got distracted.
No, you're good. It's my low-key my favorite thing. My favorite saber.
Yeah.
I'm also on the something different train where it's like I think of like as he surely there'll be a time jump at some point. So it's like I think of just like a almost just like like when I played KOTOR back in the day, where it was like I was fully decked out in Beskar, wielding a lightsaber and walking around like doing what I had to do. Where it's like he's an emotional. He has that attachment where he's not just gonna like forsake different ties and things like that. So it's like we have that Jedi where it's like, why can't I do this? And like, why are you guys so against those aspects? Just like Brandon said, where it's like, had they just listened to Anakin and been like, yeah, dude, show your emotions, could have saved a lot of trouble. So it's like, there's different things where you see that, and it's like, Grogu's gonna have that instilled within him with the Mandalore culture and things like that. And so I just view him as like kind of a video game character moving forward. It's like he's got all these powers. He's going to have Beskar. He's going to have the ties to the Mandalorians. He's got the Jedi background. Like he's kind of got his fingers in like everything. So like the future is, everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and we've 3 seasons of him and now a movie. So we have a good background for him. And, we've seen him, like you said, Mike, turning down the Jedi, but we've seen him train with Luke, or we haven't seen him, but we know he's trained with Luke for 2 years. And now he continues to go on and in the Mandalorian way. So, but I think that it's definitely he's definitely going to be a big cog in this whole machine. But this movie, I think, was his big debut as a main character. We might get him in one of Dave's movies as a pretty big character as well. But moving forward, I think that it's going to be a smaller role, but he will be significant in what's going on in the movies, or in the Star Wars universe.
Well, I think the big question that's going to come up when Starfighter comes out, when the Rey movie comes out, when the Simon Kinberg trilogy comes out, the only question that's going to be asked is, will Grogu be in it? And if not, then where is he? Because we all know he's going to survive that long, but it's going to be the biggest question. And I got a feeling that Starfighter's not even going to mention him or anything of that sort. Maybe they'll mention, like, there's a bunch of Force users around, and we'll be like, oh my God, one of those is Grogu. But other than that, I don't think we're going to see him in Starfighter. So we're just going to be wondering. It'll be like the Snoke theories all over again. Like, we're going to be losing our minds about where Grogu is at this time, and we might not find out for a long, long time.
Yeah, and that's it. I don't think they'll talk too much about him in Ahsoka or Starfighter. So it's going to be a while, I think, before we see both Mandalorian and Grogu again. So speaking of Ahsoka, let's talk about Ahsoka season 2. This is our next topic. So
yes.
So should season 2 focus more on Ahsoka or a larger Thrawn conflict? And I'm going to stop for a second and go back to John's lightsaber. I love it, and I wish, and you're going to have to come on when Derek's on, because Derek's a dark side guy as well. And I love how John is dark side. He sticks to it. He loves it, and he loves everything else. But he's the Empire, that lightsaber back there with Manny. Just such a cool thing, because a lot of people, I feel like, don't resonate to that side as much, and to be on that side and to be passionate about it. I love it, John. So,
well, to that point, he's wearing the Imperial symbol on his shirt. He's got the Death Star behind him.
Exactly.
This guy, he might be a threat right now. I mean, I'm getting nervous.
Hey, man, it's not Imperial propaganda, I swear.
Yeah, that's awesome. But and John, so I'll start with you. What do you think? Do you think we need more Ahsoka, or do you think this is going to be, or do we want more Thrawn conflict in this?
So you kind of wrote me into this one, but I really want to see Thrawn, and like what we're doing with the remnant Dathomir. Like, what are we doing to build up his forces that are really going to be the main threat moving forward in this galaxy? And we have this that leak of there's going to be that battle between Admiral Akbar and Thrawn, and I'm sitting over here just going to be eating popcorn, because I think Thrawn is just going to roll up with his old aged ISD and outmaneuver the New Republic technology and make them look bad. And they're going to be like, whoa, we underestimated this completely. It's like, we should have listened to whoever says Thrawn is back, Ezra. And it's like, okay, so then, we have this whole thing. So I hope it's not just like on going, Ahsoka's a great character, but I hope it's not just, and it's her show, is what it is. But I hope it's not just on her. I really want to see them build up this threat, because I really want to see, like Thrawn built out throughout multiple projects, not just like Ahsoka season 2 is the end of Thrawn. Like, that would bum me out, So that's kind of where I'm going with.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. I don't think that Thrawn's going to be one and done. We're gonna see him for a while. So, Mike, go ahead.
No, I completely agree. I think Thrawn in Ahsoka season 2, it is still called Ahsoka, but the first season is the same thing. Like, we get so much without Ahsoka in it. You get so much Sabine, you get so much of Balin and what Morgan Elsbeth is up to, and then Thrawn at the very end of the series. So it's not just Ahsoka in the first season. I do think because it's only 8 episodes, that at least the majority will be what's going on Peridia, because there's a lot to take. Like, yes, a war in our Star Wars, like John just said, Admiral Akbar versus Thrawn. That all sounds really cool, but we're talking Mortis gods. We're talking whoever the hell is calling out to Bale and Skull. Hopefully Abeloth, but we don't know yet. We're talking about Shin Hati. We're talking about the concept art images we got of Hu Yang with like General Grievous 4 lightsabers. There's a lot going on in this different galaxy, and it is still called Ahsoka, so a lot of that's going to have to focus there. A lot of Hayden Christensen as Anakin is back. That's all in a different galaxy. So there's only 8 episodes. It's crazy to think that like they can cover all that in 8 episodes. I don't know how that's even going to be physically possible. But I do think Thrawn will be sort of the secondary arc to the Ahsoka stuff. And then it'll be more of a setup for Thrawn, because like you said, we need to get time with him. We need him to get set up to be an actual heir to the Empire, and it can't just happen in a couple episodes. So I think whatever happens, Thrawn's going to win in one galaxy. Maybe Ahsoka wins in the other, so it's like a win-win type scenario, or win-loss type scenario. But Thrawn is going to be set up for so much more in so many more projects after it. Hopefully, like, you know, Boba Fett season 2, Skeleton Crew season 2, a trilogy if we're lucky. Like Thrawn on Thrawn on Thrawn on Thrawn on Thrawn after that.
I got so tunnel vision with Mike with Ron's intro that I just like spaced out for a minute. I completely forgot about that. So
yeah.
Brandon?
Oh, dude, yeah. You know, I who said it in the chat? I think it was Papa Boz. So they said focus on both. I think it will be 50-50, but you do have to set right. Our 2 main characters are in 2 separate galaxies, like we've mentioned. So I do think that the big thing going forward is Ahsoka is going to have to really like what's going on Peridia right now. You know, we have Shin, who got pretty much just like left behind, runs away, joins the bandits. So she's going to have her own little army. So how is that going to tie in with what Ahsoka and Sabine are doing? And I never saw any of the renderings or little screenplays until, you know, watching Mike on his channel when he's going over those early, you know, at the end of last year. And I just think it's absolutely insane, because it's like, what are all of these big, you know, iron giants, you know, protecting this temple? And then one of the first times I had Mike on my channel, we were talking about the whole Abeloth thing, and he's just like, yo, Thrawn's going to have to win here. He's going to have to win the next game. He's going to have to win the game after that and the next one. So that's where I think this is where Book of Boba Fett season 2, Skeleton Crew comes in. John and I probably talk maybe every other Sunday about Thrawn getting a hold of At-Atten and using all of the credits. Yes. They're worth so much. He can do whatever he wants. There's his funding. And it seemed like, you know, Palpatine with the Final Order, he had to die to fund all of that. So Thrawn is alive and well and can have so much infinite power. So we want to see Thrawn thrive in the tactical side of things. You know, he's going to use his mind where Palpatine used fear, and his, you know, his dog Vader, you know, he wanted to set him out on everyone. So I would love to see both, you know, and I'm really excited to see what Thrawn's going to do in the main galaxy. And just all of that just makes me think of live action Dathomir. And so I'm just like, give it to me. That's all I want. I need it now. So yeah, I think they should get 50-50.
Yeah. Well, and it's a perfect segue into our second question, which is, what's the biggest mystery heading into season 2? You know, is it Bale and Skull? Is it the Mortis gods, Peridia, you know, father, son, daughter, in Shin's future? So what do you guys think the biggest mystery is going to be? And Brandon, I'll go right back to you. What do you think the biggest mystery is going to be going in here?
Ooh, dude, you know, for me personally, I gotta say Balin, because, you know, with the recast, you know, May Ray Stevenson, rest in peace, that one hurt. You know, after that glorious season 1, I wish he was able to see how we all took that in, man. It was just insane. Thinking of that character, it's like what he knew everyone in the Jedi Order, and he also mentions Anakin, talks to Ahsoka, beats Ahsoka, sends her to the world between worlds. You know, like, geez, this guy is awesome. So seeing Rory McCann come in, I think the biggest mystery for me is obviously seeing how that turns out. Tons of friends and even just fans online DMing me. We talk all the time, and it's always like, why is Ahsoka getting delayed? Why? It's supposed to come out this year. And you know what? As long as it's executed perfectly, I'm fine. I can wait till 2028. I don't want to wait till 2028, but that's okay. as long as it's, because it has to be done well, and I think that's why Dave is maybe postponing it, or just it's simply just not done yet. So I don't know. I think the biggest mystery is Balin, and I really think they're trying to make it perfect, and I think it's going to be perfect. I think just like what's calling to him. Exactly. And earlier when you guys were talking about how going into the Mandalorian and Grogu, we're just like, oh, we kind of expected a lot. And it was nice because we didn't have to. We just got to sit back and literally watch Star Wars. That's what the great thing about it not being lore bending. But Ahsoka season 2 is going to be nothing but lore on top of lore on top of lore and new lore. So my biggest mystery is definitely Balin.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go right off of that, and then I'll let you guys talk. But I'm going to agree with Brandon. I definitely think that this is going to be a cool arc. What's going on with Balin, and yeah, it stinks, that Rey passed away. I think Roy will do a great job. It's going to be interesting to see him step into that, but I think it's a lot closer than we saw when they recast Han. I know that's Brandon's favorite movie from Star Wars, so.
Love
Solo movie.
Of course. Solo is a good 7 out of 10 for me. I love it. It's great.
But I agree with you, Brandon. I think that's going to be a cool arc. We're going to get a lot of lore in that, and that is going to hopefully bring in Abeloth or at least the Mortis gods to some point. So I think that as much as I love Ahsoka, and I know Mike does too, and he might have a different answer than us, but I'm excited to see what's going on with Ahsoka. But unfortunately, sadly, I think this could be it for us for Ahsoka. She could possibly stay on Peridia, and if this all comes to fruition, and keep Abeloth, in whatever you want to call it, God jail or whatever, and just see what's going on. But Balin's going to bring us to that, and I think that will be a really cool just structure that they have going on in there, and not to take anything away from the Thrawn part, of Ahsoka and what's going to go on, and that side of the universe or galaxy or whatever. But I think that whole Balin thing is going to be a pretty cool thing. So, Mike,
can you pull up Steve's last message, please?
Oh yeah.
If this happens,
Garbo?
this means that Lucasfilm is listening to us. If Wim and Neil say, "Why is the big blue meanie taking all our credits?" that would be the greatest thing ever. It would be something that they would say too. That sounds very on brand with what those characters would be spewing. But to that point, I do agree with you guys. I think the whole Balin skull, who is calling out to him, is the biggest deal. We all assume it's going to be Abeloth, but it could be something else. I don't know. But I'm gonna be different. I like to be different. I'm gonna go with Dathomir. I know Brandon just brought it up just a minute ago, but seeing Dathomir in live action after we had so much of it in Jedi Fallen Order, in Survivor, or I guess it wasn't Survivor, but in the Clone Wars, in all the animation stuff, to see Dathomir in live action, in all the lore that comes along with that, to see Night Sisters, an army of Night Sisters coming into live action, we just got a very small taste of what Night Sister magic looks like in Ahsoka season 1. And this second season is going to blow the doors off because he has a whole army of these things that are coming to life. So to see all that in live action is going to take maybe an extra 6 months of post-production. It's going to take a long time to create, especially when it's a war pretty much on Dathomir, which is going to be insane. So that's going to be awesome. And what comes with that. If we're going to Atten, there's characters like Jod Nana would, which would be really cool to see. Or if we're going to Dathomir, which we of course are, a Terran Malicos would be really cool to see. And I still want to see Mount Tantus and the whole Bad Batch be roped into this. And I mention it all the time, but Omega, my God, where is Omega?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sick.
John?
I gotta go with what Anakin is doing, with what Hayden is gonna be doing, because there's the like the last time we saw him, it took Ahsoka almost dying for her to enter the world between worlds and have that experience with Anakin, and so it's like we know he's gonna be involved in this project, but to what extent? So as an Anakin fan, it's like what are we going? What's my boy doing? It's like, how is he going to help if if this is the how is he going to get her back to the main galaxy type of thing? So it's like whether that's utilizing the world between worlds again because she's already knows of it and it's been a thing established now. But it's like I would like to see what's going on with him and what his future as if it's going to be the father, like how they're going to embrace that type of role. But I'm going to go with what's going on with Anakin is my mystery.
Yeah, I love that. I wasn't even thinking of that because Hayden, well, they've sort of confirmed that he's going to have a way bigger role in season 2. And how? Like, if we're not going back to the world between worlds, like, how do they even pull that off? Are we getting more flashbacks? Like, that is very cool. Yeah. What's Hayden up to?
Yeah. That'll be pretty cool. Well, and since this is going to be probably our next project, and I don't know when you guys will be on again, we're gonna do this little segment that well, I'm just gonna go ahead and play it since we're on Ahsoka.
Warning! Not everyone survives the galaxy. It's time for Mic Drop, the segment where we predict who's getting eliminated, who's not making it out alive, and who may have just booked a one-way trip to the dark side.
Check out that Henry Cavill looking motherfucker.
That's right. Hey, everybody gets an F-bomb, so we get 4.
Everybody gets one.
That was my
everybody
one.
gets one. But so yeah, in Ahsoka, I want to know who you guys think's going to get mic'd, who's going to die. And I know these will probably change as we go on and keep going, but yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I'll start with my big one, and I'm not even going to give it any explanation, and then I'll let somebody else go. Harrison Dula.
All right.
Okay, somebody else's turn.
Brandon, John, you're gonna have to go because Brandon's trying to catch his breath.
No, I'm kind of shook. I'm shook if I can. Man,
Yeah.
I kind of want to say Balin. Like I think Balin's like whether that be he be corrupted in some way or like I think what we know of Balin will be gone.
Okay.
I like it.
And you guys can pick more than one if you want to kill a couple people off.
Oh, I got more. That was just that one.
He's got a whole crypt.
Yeah.
Brandon?
Ooh. You know what? Not even to be crazy, but I think they're gonna do it cheap, and I think what's gonna happen is Trapper Wolf is gonna die. I think Dave killing himself in his own show would be the most gangster thing I've ever seen.
Do that.
Be like Porkins.
Yeah, live up to the Porkins hype. But here's the thing, though, there was rumors for the Mandalorian and Grogu that Trapper Wolf was going to be in a like little shootout or space battle, right, against Trapper Wolf, and he was going to die.
Yep. I don't know if he was going to die, but yeah, there was that.
Yeah. So maybe it's just like, hey, do it in your own show. That'd be freaking awesome.
That would be cool.
And you know what? If Filoni really was just like, you know what? I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to do this. Then we're going to add some emotional weight. Chopper.
See, I was thinking like Hugh Yang, but like I didn't think they would. They might not do it.
I think Mike had to use the bathroom.
You told him that Chopper was going to die.
Are we serious? He's standing right behind me. You can't be doing that to me.
Yeah,
you're okay. You're okay.
Don, I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to add one. I do think as Mike would say, Huge Wang, Hugh is going to die. I think that he will sacrifice, and we chatted a little bit about this beforehand. And I like your guys' answer as well. You were sort of conflicting my answer, but I think we might not see Sabine anymore. I think Sabine might sacrifice herself in this, and I don't know if it'll be in the same battle as Huge Wang does, but I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I don't. Yeah. I also think that I'm going to go ahead and just say it, but I liked your guys' sacrifice as well as maybe Ezra. That would be a good sacrifice as well, sort of like the Kanan thing. But I also feel like he's already done that by going to Peridia. So is he going to do it a second time and then, get mic'd, or is he going to just, is it going to be somebody else? Because we really don't know. And that's the thing too. We got to answer questions for all of these characters for, what's going on after this, because we don't see them, in future things for now. So until we get some explanation on some of these. So Mike, you want to kill off a couple more?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually think Sabine and Ezra are both safe for Ahsoka. Just because obviously Thrawn's going to be a big threat for a long time here. We need a little bit more cannon fodder to last at least a little bit longer. Because that's all they are, these Star Wars characters. Hera Syndulla. Let me go back to my first initial one here. I think that there's a lot more story to be told for Ezra and Sabine and Chopper, but maybe not. And Zeb even still, and all these people. I do love the Dave Filoni one though, because from when John sort of forced Dave into being in The Mandalorian the first time, he wasn't really a fan. So he's like, I don't want to be on screen anymore. So maybe he will just kill him off. But Hera Syndulla is sort of the glue. She was the mom of the Ghost crew. To Ezra and Sabine, that would be devastating. And Chopper, obviously, would be devastating. And Jacen Syndulla. Now, Jacen, it cannot be overstated, is named after Jacen Solo from Legend. Spelled the exact same way with a C, which is not usually how you spell Jacen. And in order, like Jacen Solo, if you don't know, in Legends turns to the dark side. In order for that to be a very similar arc for this Jacen Syndulla, we would have to have his mom die, because he's already lost his dad. His dad sacrifices his life. It's this great epic moment, really sad. Rebels, devastating. But if his mom were to die, and if it was because of Thrawn, then the stakes have just gone through the roof. Because to even normie fans who've never seen Rebels and never read the 6 canon Thrawn books, to those people, they're not really that scared of Thrawn. And I think they did a good job of introducing Thrawn into live action in Ahsoka Season 1, when they're all chanting Thrawn as he walks in the room and the organ plays. We're like, okay, this is epic. But he's not Vader yet. He's nowhere close to Vader yet, but he's not a even Maul level. Like, he hasn't done anything too crazy yet to make normie fans and people who haven't seen him anywhere else fear him. And Thrawn is a very dynamic character. He's not really a bad guy. He's doing all this for his people. He's just trying to protect his own home from the Grisk and from other impending threats. And that's why he joins the Empire. If the Republic is still around, he would have joined the Republic. But either way, he still, bombards the innocent people of Lothal. He still does some horrible things. He's going to have to kill somebody important for Ahsoka Season 2 to hold some weight. And I think Hera Syndulla is the perfect option for that, because she would mean so much to the entire Ghost crew and Ahsoka, because, they were buddy, especially in that first season. And I think she'd be the perfect person. So that's my Hera Syndulla pitch. I think her son will fall to the dark side, and Ezra can't stop it. And we're going to see some pretty horrible stuff happen with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Could we see a tie-in to where that's just Jacen going hard against the Empire, and then we get a live action Cal Kestis where it's like, hey, I'm also going hard against the Empire?
Yes. Well, it would add to those types of characters. Right now, Cal Kestis, at least where we left him off in Jedi Survivor, he is very much tapping into that dark side too. Ezra Bridger in Rebels taps into that dark side quite a bit. And now if Jacen Syndulla is the same way, all these Jedi-esque characters are all very shaky, to say the least. Even Sabine lost her whole family, and Ahsoka had to stop training her because she was going dark side. So a lot of these characters are very shaky in terms of where they resign on the dark side or the light side. They're sort of in the middle, and that can go either way. And it makes for a very interesting story. So yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, I know for a fact we can't have Akbar die. He's in the sequels.
Right.
We know for a fact that a bunch of people, I guess, can't technically die on the good guy side, except for the Ghost crew because they're not in the sequels. But for Thrawn, it's a very interesting concept because we don't think he's going to be one and done, as we talked about already. But eventually he's gone. Eventually the Snoke comes to power and the First Order rises and Kylo Ren falls. And it's this whole thing. We know where it goes. We have 25 years to tell it, but we know where it goes. So the biggest question of all is what happens to Thrawn? If he does gain all this power, if he does take control of Atten and Dathomir and some of the galaxy, where does he go?
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be the question, obviously. But I think that will be the question that we continue to ask for the next 3 Dave movies. I think Thrawn's going to be around for a while and be in these, this trilogy, hopefully, that he's doing in the Mandoverse, which will be fantastic. And maybe it'll be the second movie, and then we move into, the Snoke era and the First Order and start to figure out a little bit more of what's going on with that, which I think will be pretty cool. But
I also think, to an extent, Thrawn's a distraction to the First Order stuff because eventually we saw the Shadow Council. Moff Gideon was sort of doing his own thing. Thrawn is kind of doing his own thing. The end goal is Project Necromancer and Hux in the First Order. We know they're the ones who come out on top. So Thrawn might just be a distraction. And it would be even better if Thrawn, because he's not the worst guy in the world, finds out about this whole Project Necromancer thing, finds out that Palpatine's returning because he's a genius. He would be the one to figure it out. And he even warns the New Republic, but the New Republic's so stupid, they're like, nah, we're good. And then the First Order rises and all their planets blow up and they all die.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility for sure.
Sounds on par for resistance / rebellion / New Republic. They're so, I don't know. Do they kind of think they know everything? Maybe
smelling their own farts vibe.
Yeah, it's just do they ever learn? No, of course not. But yeah,
when will they learn?
Yeah, when will they learn? It's
what about Shin?
Shin, great one.
I don't know the actor, so it's I'm not sure if that's confirmed to be doing any more Star Wars projects, but it's is that going to be something where sacrifices her for herself for Balin to get after what he's doing, or so it's I don't see her getting off planet by Ahsoka or Sabine's help, so it's it's going to have to be something otherworldly or something like that, or it's just pushed to the side and it's she was stuck on this planet.
In my crazy theory head, I'm just you know what, how about everyone gets off Peridia safely? So what's going to happen is maybe there's a portal to the world between worlds, and that's how Ahsoka is able to get back to the main galaxy, and maybe last second they pull Shin with them, through a portal perhaps, and that's how they get back to the main galaxy. I think that would be kind of cool. But I want Shin to join them. I want her to be, a good guy, but I don't know, dude. And also it's if we kill off Shin in Ahsoka season 2, it's just I don't know if Disney and Lucasfilm's DMs or mailbox could be fuller. I mean, just seeing her in trailers and the first couple episodes, everyone was oh my God, Shin hottie, Shin baddie. I love Shin. Shin is amazing. It's I don't know, dude. That's how you disrundle the fandom a little bit. But hey, I'm just saying.
So you know how you combat that? You make her the main villain for the next trilogy. I think Shin has been primed to become Abeloth, the living embodiment of Abeloth. And if this is where we're going here, and Ahsoka is only there to stop Abeloth from being freed, then I could see it very well being that eventually, because we'll never see Ahsoka again, probably, eventually when Ahsoka dies or whatever happens and Abeloth is freed and becomes a villain for a post-sequel world, maybe the actress who plays Abeloth is just Shin Hati.
You thought I was dead.
She's ready.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, maybe you think she's dead and then she shows up and you're oh my God, that's Shin. And she's nope, I'm Abeloth. Yeah. It's the white hair. It's the no blinking eyes. Of any character in Star Wars, she looks the closest to Abeloth. And the
You're not
fact that
wrong.
she is that close in proximity to where Abeloth could be, it seems like we're setting this up perfectly right now.
Yeah, Ivana Sakno was in the Megan 2, the sequel to that. And it's not, I mean, it can be scary, like a killer doll. I mean, we've seen Child's Play before, but I don't know if it's horror to, most people, but I mean, she played a very creepy character in that, and she, like Mike said, she has the eyes in Ahsoka season 1. When she gets mad at Sabine and like the dialogue that they have, she's just like, you have no power. Like that kind of made me go, oh shit, she means business, so yeah, dude, that'd be awesome. And that's another thing that when Mike and I first linked up, that was something that we talked about, was her being a Abeloth. Almost said Ahsoka, but yeah, dude, like why not? It's right there. I mean, it's a layup. It's easy.
I mean, Balin like set her on that New Republic ship like a dog. Like he was choking out the officer, and she just went and went off screen and rolled everybody. So like without a thought,
Right now too, like we just don't know. She's one of the biggest question marks. Balin's looking for this thing over here. Ahsoka and Sabine are doing this thing over there. Thrawn's up to this over here. Ezra and Hera are trying to stop him. Shin is just a massive question mark. What is she doing? She's just hanging out with the bandits. Like, what's the end goal there?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when this all comes together, and hopefully, I'm hoping that it'll be, maybe February by the time we get this. If they're going to hold it off until 27, hopefully when they say early 2027, we'll get it before Star Wars Celebration and some of this. I'd love to get Maul soon too, but if we get Ahsoka now at the early part of 2027, I think it'll be Ahsoka, then Star Wars Celebration, and then we got, so we might not get Maul until the fall, with Starfighter, coming out as well in May. So it'll be interesting to see what's up with that. So
yeah.
But, all right, I think that's going to be it for. That's a wrap on this edition of Mic Drop. The predictions are in. Now let's see who survives the galaxy. Yes. So thanks you guys for jumping in the chat and talking about that as well. And I do want to go back to something that Max said. What do you guys think about this? Can a droid not? And I don't think that we're going to do a lot more, if any, with the World Between Worlds. But if we did, can droids go in there? And have we seen that?
Well, we definitely haven't seen it. I'm gonna say no. I think that you have to be a Force user to even enter in the first place.
Yeah. That'd be my first thought.
Yeah, because it's not like a physical thing, it's when Ahsoka enters it, it's it's almost like a mental, and then she wakes up out of it, and then same with Anakin when he's in that trance in the Clone Wars, it's like snaps out of it, and it's like I don't know, I don't think a droid could physically enter. I mean, maybe they just let him roll through, like he puts his foot through, and he just it's like Indiana Jones walking on the invisible path in the third movie. It's like I shouldn't be able to do this, but I'm gonna do it because I'm huge Wang and I'm getting back to the main universe.
I got a huge Wang, that's why I'm here.
That's right.
I mean, hey, Morai's been in there. We've seen her flying around. So but she's also has that connection to the daughter. So
yeah, she might just be a hallucination. All these characters.
More of that too.
Technically a Force user, I guess, or she possesses the Force. So, all right, Starfighter, Star Wars Starfighter, coming out next year. Does Starfighter represent Lucasfilm's first major step beyond the Skywalker saga?
Hang on, can we bring up the High Hodges last
Ron,
night?
I'm so sorry. I'm a 7-year-old.
No, what happened? I missed it. I was reading shit. Damn it.
Just Haja being Haja,
Oh. The usual innuendo.
That's why we like
so
the
good.
chat as well. That's
Yeah.
why the
That's
chat's
why the
in.
chat's the best.
The
Yeah.
Mojo follow up is also pretty good, dude.
That's so good.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Oh, Jesus.
Thanks for joining us, Ihaja. I appreciate you coming on here along with everybody else. Appreciate everybody. We got a bunch of people in the chat tonight, so thank you guys for getting on here and making us laugh. I appreciate that. Brandon had to mute himself so that he.
I'm good now.
Okay, something about Starfighter. What were you saying, Ron?
All right, Starfighter, yeah. All right, wait a minute. I gotta make sure that. All right, the Starfighter represent Lucasfilm's first major step beyond the Skywalker saga.
That depends on a lot of things. Is Amy Adams playing Mara Jade? We'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna say yes because it is post sequels, and all the Skywalkers are dead technically, as far as we know. So maybe. Final answer.
John?
I'm gonna say yes, just because we don't know about that time frame yet. Like now we're starting to get into EU type vibes, where if we're really starting to nitpick it. But it's they have they can set the universe, or the galaxy. It's like what's going on in the galaxy at this point in time. How is how is this? What conflict are they in? Where this rebellion pilot or ex war hero is out here doing these missions. So it's like, what are the threats? He's got a force user, so like that's still a thing going on in the galaxy that we're trying to reconnect with. So I think they have the ability to kind of not like too in depth maybe, but they have the ability to set the stage on what's kind of going on in the background.
That's a good answer. I do have to say this, which is, I guess, technically true. Andor did not. I mean, we were still in that era, but there was no Skywalkers. Talked about.
It's in the Skywalker saga, and it affects the Skywalker saga. But yeah,
for sure.
I mean,
yeah,
you could argue
but I guess
that
it's more. Yeah, it's more of, are we stepping away from that because we're 25 years after A New Hope? Or I mean, Return of the Jedi.
In what?
For Starfighter, it's 5 years after.
Yeah,
Rise.
so it would be like 37 years after Return of the Jedi.
Okay. All right, that would make sense too. So, I do want to say, Ihaja, it's his birthday today.
So
hey,
cheers, buddy! Cheers, happy birthday!
There we go. So we appreciate you being here.
Hey.
For your birthday.
Happy birthday, big man.
Absolutely. The Dave that loves Star Wars, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you jumping on here. And Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah. I think there's going to be connections. I know Mr. Sean Levy has said that this is its own film, but that does not mean that there won't be connections, because even any Star Wars, there's some sort of connection. Now, if we head down Theoryville, I'm going to be super, super fast. I do think that Amy Adams' character is going to be a Padawan or a learner from Luke's temple. And I do think that if we do, for some reason, somehow get the Hunt for Ben Solo a little bit, tangled in with Kinberg's trilogy, and Ben comes back somehow, because I mean, you can't explore that dyad in the Force. Rey can't go on without Ben, and vice versa. So my quick thing is I think there will be some Skywalker here, because I think it's all going to stem down to Ben Solo. Could be completely wrong, but Flynn Gray's character, obviously we know that he's going to go on, and I think Ryan Gosling's character Sabrin is going to get Flynn Gray to Rey at some point, and I really do think that it would be so cool for Ben Solo to see Flynn Gray's character and be like, I literally grew up with your mom. Like, that's crazy. Maybe this part, and this at this point in time, that's Ben's second purpose or another purpose for him to go on. And it is to help train Rey at her new Jedi Order, if that's a thing. And that is kind of going to be a connection there. Of course, Luke trained Flynn Gray's mom and of course Ben Solo. And I just think that would be an insane connection. And also, I mean, this movie is going to be its own thing. Yes, cool. Sean Levy did state that, but that doesn't mean that they can't have those ties to the Skywalker. And I mean, Rey, whether you like it or not, she's a Skywalker. She took on the name. She was blessed with the name. So, I mean, we're going to have her potentially later. It would be so cool to see her at the end of the film. But that's just me. And it doesn't have to have her at the end of the film. But I think that's where it's all leading. If we're talking about Skywalker tying in with Starfighter.
Yeah, I like that too. The idea that Amy Adams is playing a Force user and Mia Goth is playing a Force user, and they both have lightsabers. In any other time period, that would be like, okay, sure, why not? But because it's post-sequels, the fact that they have lightsabers and they wield the Force is so rare and crazy that they have to be either from Luke's Jedi Temple or trained somewhere else by themselves, and there's something else going on there. Like, if there's a person with a lightsaber and they wield the Force at this point in the timeline, it's a big deal. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm agree with you. I think that there's definitely going to be something that's in here that's going to go back to the Skywalker series or saga, but I don't agree with the Ben stuff. As much as I'd love to see that, I think that's a cool theory, but I think that that's going to be set up for something else. I think we're going to definitely get that. Hopefully we'll get the whole thing that, Adam and everybody was working on. That would be awesome and I think that might be its own separate project that they could tie into this. But yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely going to get some Ben Solo, but I don't know if we would get it here. And I think we're just going to have a little bit of a tie-in to the Skywalkers, whether it's, a distant relative or, as much as, I would love to have Amy Allen be Mara Jade. That would be fantastic. And I think that's somewhere along the way here in the next, I would say few years, we're going to have to get some sort of Mara Jade, because Disney's not going to put her lightsaber at Galaxy's Edge just for the hell of it, because nobody knows who she is except the hardcore Star Wars fans. And that's one of the things I think that would be cool if we get a little bit of her in the beginning, and maybe, and she does die, but now we have her in canon. So now we can go back and we can do an animation, we can do a live action, we could do, anything with her now once she's in canon. But I think that would be, I think we will see some Skywalker stuff in that.
So
that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Ahsoka is my second favorite character of all time. Ahsoka is not in any Star Wars film. So for the naysayers of the whole Mara Jade thing, because she's not in the sequels or not mentioned in the sequels, Ahsoka's not mentioned in any film either. So in order, you have her in 7 seasons of the Clone Wars and 2 seasons of Rebels, in her own 2 seasons of her own show, in the Book of Boba Fett, in the Mandalorian, she's everywhere. So you can't really make the argument that just because Mara Jade is not in the sequels, is not mentioned in the sequels, that means that she can't possibly exist pre-sequels. That's ridiculous. Just look at Ahsoka Tano. There's more examples, but Ahsoka is the one. So, and Ahsoka is so meaningful to Anakin, just like Mara Jade would be so meaningful to Luke. So if this is going to connect to the Skywalkers, and Mara Jade and her child Flynn Gray is a Skywalker himself, that would be bonkers. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be bonkers.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably my only thing, is if it is Mara Jade, it has to be just a little bit different, just because and the only thing is really just Luke telling Grogu, hey, you can't have a tats if you're going to be a Jedi. But if that's the case, I do think it would be cool, because that just adds extra weight to, Luke becoming a hermit. I mean, of course, him being the apprentice of Yoda and Obi-Wan, 2 hermits, so it's just that's the thing with the whole Last Jedi thing, and Luke being that way is, it's just I mean, it's very fitting. And of course, letting up his nephew, to the dark side, it's just an crazy thing. I'd probably be a hermit myself, but for him to act that way, it's, obvious. And just like Ahsoka Tano with Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side, until we saw the Clone Wars, we were just like, damn, man, Anakin fell to the dark side, and it was crazy. But then you go back and you're like, oh my God, he had this apprentice that meant so much to him, and then was, you know, kicked out of the order, and it just seemed just right. And then Palpatine was just setting it all up, you know, and it's just like, wow, we get even more weight to Anakin's downfall. And wow, you know, so that could be another thing for Mara Jade. And, you know, at the same time, hey, who's going to tell Luke he can't have an attachment? You know, that's the only thing where I'm just like, maybe she can't be exactly how she was in Legends, but it could be, you know, who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing of like the Jedi of the original prequel trilogy couldn't have attachments either. And obviously you see Anakin and Padme, but that's a whole nother thing. But even Obi-Wan had Satine, and it's not that like you wouldn't, if you watch the prequel trilogy, you wouldn't imagine that Obi-Wan would ever have a relationship with anybody, but it happens, and or doesn't have a relationship, but you know, they had a relationship. And a lot of that again can change over time. We see Luke say that to Grogu now. There's still another 25 years, and a lot can happen in 25 years in Star Wars, as we've seen. A lot can happen in a day in Star Wars. So this could all be pre-Luke meeting Mara, and then that changes his whole perspective on all that. Like, there's a where there's a will, there's a way.
True. Yeah. Very true.
True. With it's Sean Levy, right? That's doing this one, Starfighter. Yeah, with Sean Levy doing that, what would make Starfighter feel truly different from every other Star Wars film before it? Like new genre, new villains, small scale, big scale. What do you guys think would make a truly different from every other Star Wars film, since he says that it's going to be, you know, a little bit separate? John?
I'd like to see like like, you know, we always talk about, well, not always, but like, you know, that there's that part of deep space where it's like, you know, if we really want to get into it and we want to go like the Yuzong Bong route, where it's like we have this I don't want to see like I don't know if it's like Empire and Rebels again. It's like we've seen this for, you know, how many years throughout the galaxy. So I'd like to see, you know, a different conflict that comes in that's like a greater than you know, thing going on, where it's like, hey, it's not just like a corrupt part of the government or something like that. It's like it's a whole other alien species that's out there that is maybe coming in and is starting to, like, you know, take over our spaceports, planets, things like that. So gotta react to it. But I'd like to see that as like a, you know, it doesn't need to be like the entire movie, but it's like if they could, you know, mention what's going on, where it's like, hey, it's not just us fighting the Imperial remnants or the First Order remnants or something like that. It's like, no, we have this bigger thing going on now. And maybe that's like, you know, the end of the movie, where it's like, hey, you know, we got you to where we need to be, and now we know that this is going on. But that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think there definitely needs to be a bigger picture type thing with Starfighter. It was a big complaint for the Mandalorian because there was no Thrawn. So if they sort of, I guess, learn their lesson from that going on into Starfighter, I'm sure there's going to be, it's the first thing post sequels. It's the first thing since Palpatine is gone again for good this time, hopefully. And the First Order is gone and all that stuff is gone. So yeah, we got to see a new villain and a new trajectory for the rest of the galaxy. Like, what's the New Republic look like, or the New Republic look like? Is there a New Republic? Because everybody else died in The Force Awakens, all the planets blew up. So what's all that look like? What's Rey's New Jedi Order look like? And how does Ryan Gosling and Flynn Gray attach to that at all? But the villain is the biggest thing. In Star Wars, the villain is always the biggest thing, because we've always had these great villains and they've never disappointed. Usually it's Palpatine, but we've had some other great villains. So what's that next big villain? And like John just said, we don't want to repeat the Rebellion and New Empire over again. So something like the Grisk or something like the Vong would be the perfect way to go.
Yeah. Brandon?
Yeah, dude, I am just excited to see Mia Goth as a dark side mercenary. I mean, dude, any other project that I have seen her in, I'm like, this chick can be psycho, you know? So I love the X trilogy that she's been in. She did a really, really good job in that. And knowing off of rumors and leaks, she wasn't even like the first idea to be casted for this role. So them getting Mia, I'm like, wow, this is going to be crazy. So and knowing that we're going to get some lightsaber battles, I'm always signed up for that. But yes, just like Mike said, we have to know what the villain is. And me personally, seeing a chick villain really going hard in one movie, I am ready for that. I am ready for that because like I said, I know what Mia Goth is capable of, and just seeing her in Star Wars, it could be a little more biased for me just because I really like the actress. But seeing her come into this world in Star Wars and Sean Levy just fully acknowledging that and running with it, I'm down with it. So that's something to definitely look forward to for me.
Yeah, I like the combination of her and Matt Smith, and I think you talked a little bit about it yesterday, Mike. I think that he's going to have a bigger role than we expect, but I don't know if it'll be in this particular spot for this movie, because it sounds like he might come in, be the big bad guy for a minute, but then pass it down to Mia and have her continue as the big bad in this movie. But I think that we will have Matt Smith in further or future movies in Star Wars, or live action or whatever. But I think his character will be a big bad guy, but I don't think it'll be the main bad guy in Starfighter. And I think that's what could separate it as well, to, like you said, Brandon, to have a female bad guy in this is going to be really cool to see what happens. Even though we might get Abeloth in Ahsoka, who's female as well, but you have Thrawn on the other side, who's the bad guy, and that's, I think, who we're mainly going to focus on as the bad guy at the end of that, because Abeloth isn't going to get out or isn't going to make it to that galaxy. I think Thrawn's still going to be the bad guy until something happens with the First Order. But I think that's going to be a really cool thing to have Mia as the bad guy in this movie, to make it something different that Star Wars hasn't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that too. The way I kind of see it now with the whole Matt Smith situation is that, and it's not going to be at this level, but or maybe it is, he's sort of like the overarching villain, hopefully, of the near future, and she's sort of like Palpatine, and she's sort of like Vader, and where she's going to be the main villain of this movie and maybe some other movies too, but she's not the top dog. Maybe they're unrelated at all, because he might not be force sensitive in the slightest. He's right now described as a infamous warlord, whatever that means. He could be force sensitive, we don't know, but it's almost as if Mia Goth is kind of doing her own thing and just hired by him. So I don't know. There's still too many question marks. We need a teaser trailer for this movie. That's what we need.
Yeah, for sure.
First look is like D23, right? Like the first teaser for it.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah, but will we see it after? Maybe. So with D23, will they release it afterward? Just not like Celebration, where they're going to show everybody at Celebration and then not show us. Well, you think we'll get it after D23?
I don't know. They don't show anything publicly anymore.
Lord, I've seen what you do for others.
So Star Wars Celebration next year. It's the 50th year. Could with everything else going on, could Celebration 2027 become the most important Star Wars event since Disney acquired Lucasfilm? We got 50 years. We got Ahsoka season 2. We got future films, new announcements, potentially Filoni's movie updates. What do you guys think? Is this the most important event since Disney was acquired, or Star Wars was acquired by Disney? Or is it just like, okay, this will be cool? So what do you guys think? Mike?
I think it will. I don't know about the most important, but I think it will be extremely important because it's Dave's first celebration as the new co-president. And I think we're going to actually get to see sort of the slate of what's coming next, because right now Ahsoka season 2 is the only live action project that we know of on Disney Plus. Starfighter is the last movie that has a release date that we know of, at least. Maul season 2 is the only animated thing that we know of other than Vision's spinoff, and that's it. So we have 0 announcements beyond that. So this celebration is not only going to be 50 years, holy crap, yay! It's going to be announcements of a ton of stuff that's coming. Whether it's Book of Boba Fett season 2, Skeleton Crew season 2, Kenobi season 2, Acolyte season. Whether it's a lot of different things, or it could be brand new stuff. For all we know, release dates for movies, updates on Dave's movie, updates on the Rey movie, updates on Simon Kinberg's trilogy. If they come out there and just put episodes 10, 11, 12 on the screen, people will lose their mind. So I think it's going to be a big, big deal. It's going to be bigger than last year's celebration and probably the 3 before that. It's going to be huge because it's the first time with this new regime at Lucasfilm, this new regime at Disney, where we're getting announcements for Star Wars.
Brandon.
Yeah, I think with Lucasfilm, Lucasfilm should be 55 years this year, and then I believe Star Wars, of course, will be 50 next year. So that's just going to be insane, and kind of like Mike said too. I mean, with Dave and Lin-Wen Brennan, this is their first time where they're the hands are in the cookie jars at this point. So show us what you're worth. That's one thing. That was really my only problem with Kathleen Kennedy, was that she was announcing projects just maybe a little too soon. Maybe they're on the cutting board and it's like, hey, we have this, and this, but it's like, we want that, we want those projects, and that's okay. I'm not in those shoes. I don't know how it works. So I digress, so I think it would be kind of crazy for, Dave and Lin-Wen to be like, hey guys, this is the slate right here. And maybe we could see it on a screen. And it's like, this is what we're going to be looking forward to, guys. So we're already getting great stuff. Maul Shadow Lord will hopefully maybe be a little before or just a little bit after that. We still got to ride the hype of another Star Wars movie in theater, which is just a crazy thing to say because that's less than a year already. Wow. Yeah, I think Celebration is going to be huge, man. And I'm going to have John get me the Funko exclusive while he's there. I'm going to be so jealous of everyone during the time, but it'll be really cool. And I hope that it's one of the biggest ones and means a lot for everyone who will be in attendance. And of course, me, who will be at another year at home watching it on their official YouTube channel, which is always a fun time, kind of just tapping in and seeing what's going on the broadcast. But I really do hope it's the biggest one. I do.
Nice. John, do you think it'll be the most important thing, most important event since Disney actually acquired it, or you think it's just it's going to be a big thing and
So event, yes, where it's like most important thing. It's like I watch them put 300 million into a TV show, so it's like when it comes to like importance, it's like I wouldn't say it's the you know what I mean. But I do view it as like the catalyst for like kind of like what Brandon was saying, like for going forward. It's like they have this, there's so much hype around Star Wars Celebration for this year, like whether it be good or bad, like the people who were able to get tickets weren't able to get tickets, like it made national headlines, things like that. There's so much animosity behind this. And so them coming out like, being there and whatever the viewing is and having Dave Filoni walk out and Jon Favreau walk out and Hayden walk out and, like all these different people. And it's like, hey, here's the future of Star Wars. It's like, okay, we know Dave's not going anywhere. Like we know this team is going to be here. So what we're getting is most likely going to be what we're getting. And so, what is the next 10 years of Star Wars going to look like,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say, you brought up a great point, like bringing Hayden out on stage and everything. It might be a big a part of it. Obviously, the second season of Ahsoka is way bigger than the first, but it might be like using Star Wars Celebration to hype up the second season. Hopefully, the second season comes out before then. But if you remember back to last year when we got Andor season 2, they had the entire cast of Andor at that celebration, and it was this huge celebration of Andor because it was coming to an end, and all those actors were doing their interviews and all their that was the main focus. So I think they could do that again with Ahsoka season 2 and have Hayden and Rosario and all of them just at Celebration as sort of the main event type thing.
Yeah. If they could make one massive announcement at Celebration, what do you guys think it should be? Should it be Old Republic? Should it be the new trilogy? Dave's movie? Should it be another second season of Obi-Wan? Is a second season of Skeleton Crew? What do you guys think the one massive announcement that they should make? John?
I want a Vader show. Like if we're gonna get Maul Shadow Lord Vader, how they gave it to us in that animation. I mean, I love the him in live action as well, but it's like like when I think of EU Vader, when I think of Vader, it's like the dude's a menace, and it's like I want to see him like really hunting down Jedi and like going through those first years after Revenge of the Sith, like really taking it up and becoming Darth Vader. That's if they gave that to me, I would. I don't think I would complain for the rest of my life. Like I would be very content.
It's Brandon.
I have two. I'm gonna cheat. So the first one is Simon Kinberg's trilogy. If this is going to be the next 10, 11, 12, this is huge. This is where, why did, I know, Mandalorian Grogu, he had to say, there's not we keep the scroll, the Star Wars scroll to the Skywalker saga films. Cool. Could just be perfect timing, but hey, maybe that's what they're saving it for, because we're going to get those scrolls yet again in 10, 11, 12, which, man, that would be beautiful. And then also, you guys know me very well. I look into things way too much. I'm never right. But at the last celebration, when Manny Jacinto was brought on stage, he got gifted the Stranger's helmet. And he also, he held up a peace sign. Cool. But in my mind, I'm like, that's Acolyte Season 2. He's going to be back. And just like Ron, you made the point of Mara Jade's legacy lightsaber being made. Just like what John has behind him, Manny Jacinto's character in Chimera / The Stranger has a legacy lightsaber as well. And so does Devon Izara. This is kind of like the latest ones. We're going to see more Devon for sure. She's probably going to live on, and we're going to see more of her. Also, I think an Acolyte Season 2, or it doesn't even have to be the Acolyte Season 2. This can be The Stranger, which is like a spin-off of the Acolyte. I think people would be more in tune with that if you didn't like the Acolyte. There's always something good to pull from each project, and it's definitely Chimera / The Stranger. But yeah, that's me, man. I would absolutely love to see more of that dude, because he's awesome and very mysterious. So why not, learn more about him? That's what I want.
Knights of Ren live action.
Yeah,
like let's see the start of it. Give the Knights of Ren more more legacy behind them. This could be the first guy, running from Plagueis, or, everyone's jaw dropped when they saw Plagueis, whether they're like, what's that dude creeping behind the corner for? And it's just like, that's Darth Plagueis the Wise, bro. That's Darth Plagueis the Wise, lady. Like, this is a big deal. You got to capitalize on that. But that's just what I'd like to see.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I want you to answer, but we only got a half an hour left, so
I'll keep it quick. I do like the Acolyte Season 2 idea, even just calling it The Stranger, because the Acolyte has so much, behind it. It'd be cool if they did sort of like a trilogy type deal, and it was just The Acolyte, The Stranger, and then a Plagueis show with 10 seasons. But no, my biggest thing would be a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, just because we need it badly.
We do.
For so many different reasons, not just Luke, but Kylo and Snoke and the First Order's rise, and have Palpatine manipulating all of them from a distance. And it's just the Clone Wars, but for this time period. And it's so necessary and would be so great. Give us the animated version of the original trilogy characters. Give us the whole story of just all of it. Give us 5 seasons, 7 seasons. Why not? Of just great Luke Skywalker, Jedi Temple, New Republic, everything.
Man.
Yeah, I love that theory, but I wonder if my thing. I think the biggest announcement would be Dave's movies, and I wonder if when he does that, what are we going to have in that? Because I think it would be cool to have that in live action, like what you were just talking about, and you could have some of that. It wouldn't be as much as we would all like, but you could have some of that in the movie, in this Mandoverse, because that's about the same time as what's going on with Luke. And then we could also get a little bit more, background into what's going on with Palpatine and things like that. But as we continue down that road with Dave's movies, he could sort of help us answer some of these questions that's going on, and what happened to Luke and Kylo at the same time. So whether we get that or not, yeah, I'll definitely do an animated series of that as well, along with what's it called? The Path. Something like that would be cool as hell, to bring Quinlan Vos in, and Asajj back, and just, yeah, exactly, do something similar to that, where we could have an animated series as well for that, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, the Clone Wars, the Lost Tapes or something, where we can get a little something there. Like, that would be so cool.
Yeah,
for sure. That would be awesome. So sort of staying on the same theme, but a little bit different. Do you guys think that Thrawn is truly the main villain in the Mandoverse, or is he warning us about something bigger, like the Grisk or Abeloth or unknown regions? I know, Mike, you had mentioned it a little bit earlier. He's not a bad guy. Yeah, okay, he's done some bad things, but he's not a Vader or a Palpatine. So do you guys think that he is going to be that main villain and just go for it on, bringing the Night Sisters back and just, massacring and taking power back? Or is he like, hey, listen, I gotta, kick your ass for a little bit, but I'm letting you know about this Abeloth thing in another galaxy, or these other, the Grist that are coming? Mike, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, I think, we know that Thrawn is not the end game, at least because of the sequels. So he either fails or tries to warn them and they don't listen, whatever that may be, or maybe he dies. I don't know. But I do think that his goal, hopefully, will remain the same as the canon books, which is to protect his people and protect the Chiss from the never-ending threat of the Grisk. Right now, the Grisk, to anybody who hasn't read the Thrawn novels, just sounds like a goofy, silly word, and that needs to change, because they could be a real big threat. They could be the canon version of the Vong, which would be awesome, and could be a great threat for a post-sequel world and be set up by Thrawn beforehand. So I think Thrawn is the foreseeable future villain. Like, for a while, we're going to get, hopefully, Dave movies. Multiple of them will be great. Ahsoka season 2, we're going to get a lot of Thrawn, but eventually we know where it leads, and it's beyond him. So I hope he keeps that, not a full villain type. He keeps his real goals in mind. Because if we're talking, he did a couple bad things. Well, Luke Skywalker killed like 1 billion people on the Death Star. So no.
2
Death Stars. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's my take on Thrawn.
Brandon?
Sometimes, like, all my homies love Thrawn, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't see him as a bad guy, but he's not the greatest. So I think for this point in time, he has to be the big bad, because we still have 25 to 30 years of wiggle room before we see the First Order. And even in The Force Awakens, it was playing on TNT today, and just seeing Hux and the First Order lined up, and just the speech, I'm like, oh my Lord, they don't know everything, but they're definitely, some power, they have some heft behind it. So that has to still be brewing in the background, whether it is kind of enhanced through Palpatine kind of working in the shadows, or just, we have that connection too with the Hux. We have Brendel leading onto Armitage, so that's gonna be the next thing, and we know that. So this is where I think Thrawn is just kind of run like stuff for like the next maybe 5 years in Star Wars. Maybe 5 rotations. I'm not sure, but it's gonna be a while. That's why I think the Book of Boba Fett season 2, or Skeleton Crew season 2, or even more Mando and Grogu, or all of this Mandoverse, it doesn't have to be wrapped up quick. We got 3 seasons of Mando, but it doesn't have to just end with that, because Thrawn's gonna have the playing field for the next decade. I could see, I know character or actors and actresses are gonna get older, but hey, we can still work around this. So I think it's going to be really cool to see all of them kind of run around Thrawn for a while. And I think that's what we're setting up for. So get used to it. We're going to see a lot of Thrawn.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing we hear we have with him is like coming back full Imperial setup, still in his Imperial uniform. Long live the Empire, coming back from Peridia. So it's like I think he comes back and it's like, okay, this is the rebellion or new rebellion that took out the Empire. I think he's gonna find them as like incompetent, and it's like this isn't the power that needs to be in charge of the galaxy. Like the Empire may be gone, so like now me and my logistic chain, me and my shadow remnants, Pelion, those guys that are out there that are hoarding all those resources. It's like let's get them to the forefront to really engage this. But I do think it could be like as he gets more in tune with what's going on, because he's been gone for years. So it's like once he gets back, gets settled, kind of gets set on like what's going on in the galaxy, and then he starts to shift his, if it's him beating the new Republic, and then him, kind of having that control over the galaxy, which is vast, that's going to take time, and then shifting his gaze and being like, okay, we're kind of content within the galaxy, but what's going on, externally, what's coming out of deep space, things like that, and kind of going back to that Yuzong Dong vibe where it's like we have something greater than the rebellion that we need to fight.
It would be great if Thrawn was the reason that the First Order rise to power, and we just don't really know it yet. Like he is the building block that like paves the way for Snoke, and we don't know what happens to Thrawn. Maybe he gets killed off. Maybe he just goes back home. Whatever happens with him, but he's the real reason, because it makes you watch the sequels in a whole different way. Now you're like, oh my god, Thrawn built this, because like Brandon was just saying, when Hux is talking to all those people and you're like, oh my god, this is crazy, you could have now the knowledge of that, well, Thrawn created this. That'd be cool.
It would be cool.
Yeah, and keep going with that, Mike. I think that's a cool thing as well. I think that would be something that we could all sort of chew on, and would make it pretty cool that Thrawn was the one that started this whole First Order, and now it's grown into this, what we see in the sequels, which is obviously massive and just devastating to what's going on in that galaxy at that point. But for Thrawn to be like the guy that sort of put the key in and started the engine on that would be pretty awesome.
It would be really cool too if like he doesn't die to any of our heroes, but Snoke's the one who kills him and like comes in, and because you have to establish Snoke as a big bad too, because everybody in their dog is scared of Snoke by the time of The Force Awakens. Leia knows who he is, Luke knows who he is, and they're all terrified of the guy, so he has to be a big deal too. So now you're gonna have to build up Thrawn and him, and why not kill two birds with one stone, literally, by having Snoke kill Grand Admiral Thrawn and be like, I'm the top dog now. It would make a lot of sense, because Thrawn is not, for example, in Rebels and in the books before the original trilogy, he wants to make all the funds, or not all the funds, but all the Death Star funds go to his project with the TIE Defenders. And we learn that he was obviously right, because having all your resources in one little space station is not the greatest idea, when TIE Defenders that have pretty much a shield around them, they can jump into hyperspace, those are way better use of your money, because if one TIE Defender goes boom, it's not the end of the world, but if one Death Star goes boom, it is the end of the world. So Thrawn was right, and to have that mind now in charge, you're going to have his way not be what Palpatine wants, not be what Snoke wants. So Snoke would come in and, slice his head off, which would be pretty crazy.
Oof.
Yeah, for sure. Sort of, I got a couple more to try to wrap things up, but I think this will be cool. And sort of brings everything into the whole figuring out everything that's going on in the next few years here. But what's the biggest Star Wars theory that sounds crazy today, but could happen in the next 5 years? Like Abeloth, Mortis, Grogu leading the new, a new order, Rey's Jedi Order, or animated characters moving to live action. So what do you guys think in the next 5 years is going to be the biggest theory that sounds a little bit iffy now, but could really come to fruition with everything that's going on, again, with Ahsoka with the Mortis gods and Abeloth, with Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe he's the leader of the New Order, Rey's Jedi Order, or some of these characters that we're seeing in some of this animation come to live action. John?
I'm kind of thrown for a loop, but I mean, like let me go 1A, 1B. Because 1A, I'm thinking like if we're gonna do the Mortis arc, like from the Clone Wars, and we're really gonna embrace that, like that's gonna throw a loop for a lot of people when they're just like, oh, this is the son, and they introduce Sam Witwer, and it's like, oh, what is this all about, and things like that. And I think on a second aspect, it's like I'd like to see what's going on with like Mandalore. And that's like the Mandalorians went back, they took back their planet. Like I'd kind of like to see how Mandalore is being rebuilt and if that is still a prominent thing in the galaxy.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely love to see the Mandalore thing come true. Mike?
Well, I'm just trying to think in the last 5 years, what is so crazy that we would have never guessed before? And I guess the two things would be Maulverse Vader. And Andor, just Andor in general being as good as it was. Nobody expected that. Nobody asked for that. So something out of left field, like a crazy project that doesn't even I don't even know what it could be, but something like a Skeleton Crew or an Andor, I think could come up, maybe even announced at Star Wars Celebration next year. But the other thing would be the Old Republic and it being sort of a main focus, maybe the Dawn of the Jedi movie in general. But the fact that we're already getting Fate of the Jedi as a video game, getting a series or a movie like Dawn of the Jedi, or actually in the Old Republic itself involving Revan, that will change everything. Getting a Dawn of the Jedi movie would literally change everything. So something like that.
Nice. Brandon?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say kind of what I said earlier. I think just the hype going into 10, 11, 12 is gonna be kind of like the big thing, going forward. But a theory that I've actually been thinking on for a couple days, and I didn't have the idea until I watched Mike's video on Star Wars Starfighter, was we know that Ryan Gosling's character has a past that he is not too proud of. He's like a war hero, stuff like that. So that gets my brain churning. And I'm really just taking all that in. And I'm just thinking what? How crazy would it be? We see the scene where Leia gets, blown out of her shuttle or her little fleet, right? And she, does the Mary Poppins thing, whatever. It's cool. Okay. How cool would it be that the guy who shot underneath Kylo Ren was Sabrin Gill, if that was Ryan Gosling's character, and we get a tie-in with there? That was where my mind went. I was like, you know what? That'd be crazy. But then again, it's just like the war hero, and what is he ashamed of? Like, obviously working for the First Order, it's just kind of like people who worked for the Empire. They're like, no, yeah, times have changed, right? The Empire, that's in the past,
Yeah.
Who says
swapping out the patches?
Yeah, no. Good thing these are Velcro, right? So some of those things like that could really work out. But I'm just like, I want to know what monsters he has in his closet. What did he do? Did it have to do with women or children? So like what happened? I want to know. So but that's just a little theory that I have in my head. I think that would be really cool. And that's kind of how, more connections. It has us thinking, and that's what they want us to do. They want us to think. And that's probably one of the best things about Star Wars and actually quote unquote creating content. That is the best thing for me, is just knowing like, dude, just the theories upon the theories, whether I'm wrong or right. It's just so fun. So yeah, that's where I'm leaving at.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I do like that idea because it's the same thing where he's sort of like haunted by the shadows of his past, having like Finn in The Force Awakens. The opening scene is the First Order stormtroopers all pointing their blasters at these innocent village people and killing all of them. and Finn chooses not to, and he's the Force Awakens in him, and that's the whole plot of the movie. But for Ryan Gosling, he could be one of those stormtroopers or fighter pilots who doesn't wake up or doesn't, whatever. He's programmed to think that this is the right thing to do. And he could do some horrible things, like maybe kill a room full of younglings. I don't know.
Well, it's like you think about just blowing up like a troop transport or something like that. It's like, a Nebulon B, he's, if he's shooting a proton torpedo, hits Nebulon B, blows it in half. It's like, how many people are on that type of thing? And then it's like, okay, well, comes out to them, they're the good guys. And it's like, well.
Yeah, you don't know if you're the good guy, especially if you're from a very young age being programmed into the First Order.
Like if he's on the First Order, is he on Starkiller base when it shoots and destroys the rebellion type vibe?
Yeah.
Like he could be one of those dudes standing there watching the laser just,
Yeah, and we're assuming that him being haunted by these ghosts of his past, like the leak says, that he is going to be First Order. But even if he is a rebel, like still you kill a ton of people as a good guy, and that can still be haunting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Chopper Base just joined. What's going on? Chopper Base just said he got out of Mandalorian and Grogu. How many times have you seen it? I know that wasn't the first. Yeah, for sure. So, all right, let's see. My thing on that I'll answer that. My thing for that is I think it'll be interesting, and I think we could possibly get some of these characters that we might see in Maul coming to live action at some point, which would be cool because I think we got Embo, in the last Mandalorian and Grogu, so I think we're going to get some of these characters, even though he was CGI. I mean, it's hard to tell that he's CGI in that. He looks so good in that, just walking and everything. So I think that could be a cool thing, and I've always liked the live action more in reference to what's going on in that canon, because I feel like the books, the animation, things like that are giving us the lore behind it, and obviously it's more money to do live action stuff, whether it's movies or the TV shows. But I think those are cool to as much as I think we've mentioned, when Cad Bane came out, people were like, oh, this and that, all everybody wants to do is bitch about how bad it was, but it was fantastic. And I think that the character there is what you have to look at, in the story behind the character, instead of was his nose the same as the one that was in animation, was his birthday the same that it was in the prequels. I'm so sick of the acolyte bullshit that goes on, that people are like, oh, this was that, and that, we all loved it, it was great. There's no reason for everybody to shit on it like they did, because the characters in that were phenomenal, especially Manny, to do something like that and bring something to fruition in the next couple years. And that's sort of the next question is, what's one Star Wars opinion that fans will completely reverse in the next 5 years, like they did with the prequels. Everybody was crapping on the prequels, and Hayden was this, and they didn't act, and this and that. So what do you guys think in the next 5 years? Are people going to turn around and go, okay, The Acolyte was fantastic, Mandalorian and Grogu, that really was a good movie, the sequel, are people in the next 5 years going to start treating them like they did with the prequels and say, hey, you know what, they weren't bad, now we got some story behind it, with what's going on, and now we know why Luke's a hermit, or whatever happened. So what do you guys think is what project could be switched in the next 5 years or so with fans, finally getting into it and going, that was pretty good? John, what do you think?
I'm not much of the sequels guy, but The Force Awakens, I think, is gonna carry like a lot more sway than I think it did upon it. And when it came out, it was a great movie. Like, you get the whole First Order, you get Finn, you get Kylo. It's a good movie. So I think that's where it's like, looking back, for how much hate the sequels gets with, different directors, different, writers, different things like that. There's not much continuity in certain aspects, but it's like, I think it's gonna get the same treatment where it's like fans who grew up with that were that age, just like I grew up with Revenge of the Sith. It's like they're gonna look back at that and they're gonna have that voice and it's gonna be heard. So I think it's just gonna always be like shifting. Like there's always gonna be the complaints of not liking it until those people will phase out and then these people will come up. But I think in the next 5 years, and I think we're kind of seeing it now, but there's been kind of a switch in I would say the vibe around Star Wars, at least personally. Like I've noticed it where it's like a lot of it's just the positivity is starting to go up, and the people who are supporting it just aren't really given like the time of day for the other stuff. So it's like people are it's going back to just enjoying Star Wars. It's a science fiction thing that we all enjoy. We love to watch it. And so I think it's going to get a lot more love than it has been in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Brandon.
Yeah. Yep. John couldn't have said it any better. And him and I have talked about this so many times too, especially on our show. So it's one of those things. It's time and place. But in this world, we know that, when you hear like, oh, this project was bad, people are gonna be like, ooh, what was that? Rather than if you're like, this project was great, less people will gravitate towards that. And that's okay, because that's just kind of how things are, like hate sells, they say. That's a saying for a reason. But I like all of Star Wars in everything it is. Like in my opinion, the worst movie in Star Wars is a 7 out of 10 for me. So I still love these projects. There's just some that are better than others. Ron, stop. But my thing is growing up with the prequels and the massive flip that it had. We cannot forget how badly received the prequels were. And to us, it's just insane because it's like, what? I grew up with that. Like I used to get bullied and not like bullied, but I'd get made fun of in elementary school for being like, dude, Revenge of the Sith is the best thing ever made, and for instance, I had a friend who had an older brother who's just like, that movie sucks, bro. Like, stop. Don't even talk about it anymore. I'm just like, damn, you kidding me? So, 8-year-old me just quiets up real quick. But it's kind of like arguing ice cream flavors, where it's like, you like strawberry ice cream? Yeah, me too. Or it's just like, dude, pistachio's gross. And I'm like, man, pistachio's kind of good. I'm not going to argue about the ice cream flavors. It's kind of like how it is with these movies, but it's just a little bit different. So I don't know, dude. I really do think, they're more and more so just in the last 2-3 years that I've, been online with Star Wars. I've seen so many people be like, you know what? Sequels suck. But like now it's just like, I can see why, people like this and coming around to it. But then again, you don't have to. If you don't like it, you don't like it. No one's going to hold that against you. It's just the way you go about it. The overall just hating on a project is just crazy, because if I don't like a movie, I'm just not going to talk about it, So that's just one of my things. But yeah, I do think the sequels can, blow up again. They've only been out for 10. The first sequel movie has only been out for 10 years now. So we still got to give it more time, if you want to date it back to like how the prequels were. But yeah, dude, I think the sequels can get love. That's kind of my thing too, just to kind of branch off John. It's not the best thing ever, but it doesn't have to be the best thing ever,
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
I agree with this whole sequel trilogy talk. You're seeing now so many people talking about like, oh, The Last Jedi is my favorite movie in Star Wars. I'm like, okay, sure. And I've seen like Shadow of the Sith, the book, the Bad Batch, the Mandoverse itself has already, for me personally, made the sequel trilogy that much better, with all the Project Necromancer stuff and how Palpatine's been working on that for so long, and his return now making a lot more sense, and the Ochi of Bestoon dagger making so much more sense, and all that. It has already, for me personally, gotten so much better. Me and Sam are still doing our watch through of Star Wars. We made it to The Mandalorian before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which was great, but now we're watching the sequels. And we're halfway through The Last Jedi now, and I just watched The Force Awakens, and I'm like, The Force Awakens it's awesome. It's so good. And say what you will about it being, a copy and paste of A New Hope. There's a lot of similar aspects there, but A New Hope is also a great movie. And I think all the great characters, the new characters in The Force Awakens, their setup is so good, from Snoke to Rey to Finn to Kylo. All of it is incredible. But it's still the other two movies that need some fixing for me. But you said the next 5 years, we could get a lot of stuff that could help that, just like the last 5 years have helped them quite a bit, just like the prequel trilogy got helped by the Clone Wars and all that. So I agree with that. I think The Acolyte is one that will be, a lot of people will come across it in the next 5 years and go, why did this get canceled? Just because they won't see the backlash online. They won't see that it had a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes before it even released. They won't see the actors' interviews from beforehand in the press junket where an actor got a couple facts wrong about Anakin and Luke. They won't see any of that. They'll just watch it for what the show is, and it's a great show. So I think The Acolyte will have a resurgence with it already is, but whatever. With the next 5 years for sure too. And then like stuff like the Book of Boba Fett, like people who originally watched that and went, oh, this isn't as good as Mando season 2. And you're comparing it to one of the greatest things since sliced bread. So when you go back and watch it again, you go, oh my God, this is way better than I remember it being. It seems to be the common occurrence. So as people go to do that, I always say if a new Star Wars project comes out, give it 10 years. Give it 10 years.
Yeah. Sure. Or just simply watch it again. I feel like so many fans haven't even seen the sequels as much as they have with 1 through 6. And the more you watch it, it's just like, man, it's just like, but what about Rogue One and Solo and now Mando and Grogu? We have 3 other movies that aren't even attached to a trilogy. So like, there's just so many options, and it's easy to like it all. It's easy to, fall to one side or the other. But at the same time, it's just like, that when someone's just like, oh, The Acolyte's so lore bending, and I'm just like, when did it break canon though?
Yeah,
and it's, oh well, Kiadi Mundi, like, come on, dude. And it's like, you knew his birthday before you watched, and also, don't most people not like Kiadi Mundi just by the way he is? It's like, why do you care about his birthday? This is the weirdest thing, But that also, can be a whole other episode.
Yeah. No, I agree with all you guys. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think for me, the top of the list is going to be The Acolyte. And I know Max had said, nobody's going to say that it's good. But I think as people continue to find it and watch it, Mike talked about it on his podcast. I mean, when just before Mandalorian and Grogu came out, it popped up to like number 5 or something like that on the most watched in Disney. So people were okay. Let me go check this out, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think we will get some more stuff from Manny the Stranger. I think we're going to get some more stuff for Plagueis. So I think as that continues to go on, and whether we get a book or a comic series or hopefully something either different in live action, they're not going to do an Acolyte 2. No way. There's too much. Unfortunately, there's too much. People that have already crapped on it as sort of put a bad taste in everybody's mouth. So the newer people that are going to have to watch it, or people that went to Mandalorian and Grogu and were like, oh, this is pretty good, I'm going to go watch The Acolyte now and see if it's really true that it was as bad as it was, they said it was. And then, the sequels I think are coming around already. And like we've talked about many times, Mike, the book, the books and stuff are just bringing some more life into some of these unanswered questions, which I think is fantastic. And I love to how it's turning around, because for me, when the prequels came out, I loved them. I thought they were fantastic. It was just more Star Wars story because I didn't think I was getting any more. After 1983, I was like, well, that was awesome. I got a cool little collection here. And now, Star Wars is done. And, when they started to talk about the prequels, I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This is going to be freaking awesome. And as they continued to bring Boba Fett back, and have things like that, and Skeleton Crew, where you're learning a little bit more, and then the Clone Wars and all these things, you're making these things better. And I think that's why when the Clone Wars came out and continued and had a great run, that's what helped people with the sequels. I thought that, or the prequels, getting more about, like you said in the beginning, Brandon, learning a little bit more about Anakin and what he went through, different things like that, I think is awesome. So I think, Mike, you said it perfectly. Yeah. wait 10 years and Star Wars is, you're going to like Star Wars again.
Yeah. Well, I just went to look because I didn't know what the Acolytes Rotten Tomato score was now. The audience score is still a 19. But interestingly enough, the critic score is a 79. That's pretty high. That's like 15 points higher than the Mandalorian Grogu movie. But having said that, there's something you were talking about. The books. Yes, the books made the sequels a lot better too. But as somebody pointed out in the chat too, I think it was KG, there's another sequel book coming out next month, which is sort of the time gap between the Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker, and it's Rey and Leia training. So sort of the idea of people not liking that Rey took the Skywalker name. She did train with Luke and Leia, and the fact that there's a whole pretty much year between those two movies where she was training with Leia, people don't really understand that. So this book will shine even more light on that fact that these two were master and apprentice for a while. It wasn't a short period of time. It was a while. So that'll make it even more meaningful in the whole Leia. Of course, we can't have Leia really in live action as much, especially in that time period. So in her role in the Rise of Skywalker had to be cut shorter than it should have been. But the idea that you can explore that more in a book, it's going to make the sequels better just by being there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, R2, I know we're over 2 hours, so we're going to wrap it up here in a second. But I got to do this again because I thought it was pretty funny last week, and you guys didn't get to see this. So,
who pointed that out?
a buddy of mine sent me a picture of that a few years ago. Actually, when I first started this, and he saw my headphones on there. But thanks everybody for being here. You guys are awesome. The chat has been going crazy in here. But Brandon and John, tell us. You guys explain a little bit about your channel and let us know and everybody in here know what's going on. Yes, John, that means you. He's pointing to you.
Yeah, I know, man. Hey, Clan Fett, you can find us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Brandon and I go back and forth over all Star Wars stuff, whether it be content, Lego, movies, all the good stuff. But other than that, you can follow us at Clan Mandalorian at the Boba Fett with 3 T's. We're just out here with good vibes for Star Wars and having a great time. So like I said, I woke up today very grateful to be on this channel with you guys. Appreciate the invite, and I'm gonna toss it over to Big Dog over here.
Yeah, man, that's what it is. Clan Fett. If you kind of put it together, we came up with the amazing name Clan Fett because of Clan Mandalorian and the Boba Fett. So how awesome! If you didn't figure that out, but yeah, we have a joint Instagram page, so go check us out there. And then every single Sunday, we go over everything, leaks, rumors, theories, Lego, Funko, whatever. We talk about it all. So as John likes to say, we're just 2 guys being dudes. So that's us every single Sunday. Come check us out. Really, really great community. We see most of you in the chat here. So that's awesome. It seems like we all kind of got a good little group together. So this is it's a great place. And of course, appreciate talking Star Wars with you too. Ron, thanks for having us on your platform tonight, man.
Absolutely. And Mike, I'll let you talk about yours a little bit. I usually do it for you, but go for it.
Yeah, thanks. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, guy who loves Star Wars. That's the name.
Tuesdays.
Back to you, Ron.
Self-explanatory.
Thursdays, Saturdays. He's on
Tuesday,
all the
Thursday,
time.
Saturdays. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Clan Fett's on Sundays. Ron's on Wednesdays. We're just looking for a Monday and a Friday show. That's pretty much it. And then your whole week is Star Wars. But yeah, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, somehow we manage. And yeah.
Appreciate it. So again, thank you 3 for being on here with us. I thought tonight was cool. Had some great conversations. Again, great conversations in the chat as well. Happy birthday to Haja, and Mike has to one up Nick. That's sort of an inside joke. So if you guys haven't seen that, you need to go back and watch a couple other episodes. Definitely going to have you guys on again for sure. Thank you for being able to come on today. I know I texted you this morning, but first two go-to guys that I was gonna, text, and because I know you guys love Star Wars as much as we do. So thank you all for being here tonight, and we're gonna wrap this one up. So y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on the next Star Wars Jedi Chat next Wednesday. See you. Thanks, guys.